Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you're watching, and that we're glad that you're here. And we come on these Wednesdays with a little meditation, generally something that we're going to preach on Sunday as we come forward. But this is a very special meditation today. This is the last meditation in which Jordan and I will share. Jordan, as many of us know, will be leaving us soon for a new appointment in West Des Moines, and we send her with all hope and love and peace. But we have this opportunity now for just a little bit more wisdom from that young, hopeful, dreamy mind. So what do you have for us this day?
I'm very full of wisdom all the time. And maybe full of it too.
Well, I was not going to add, but yes, you're full of life, let me say that.
I am full of life, yeah. So, confession, I haven't started my sermon writing this week because I am packing and packing and packing, and you know it's really hard to preach your last sermon at a church.
Last sermons are difficult. First sermons are a little easier, but last sermons are hard.
So like what do you say as your parting words? And it's really difficult. But in our Old Testament reading this week, I know you're probably going to preach on gospel, but on the Old Testament reading, it talks about how, let me get the names right, Samuel sees gifts in David that David doesn't see in himself. And so how often do we are our worst critics, right? I am so bad when I am my worst critic because I just put myself down, right? I'm like, I'm not good at this, I'm not good enough for that, and so on. Erling, have you ever had moments in your life like that?
I certainly have, right? It's I think you're right. It's hard to see the graces that we have, right? Mm-hmm. And as I put this in the context of you and I, right? Of sharing senior pastor, associate pastor. One of the great experiences that you and I, or at least I have had this past year, is seeing those gifts in one another, right? That you could see something in me that I hadn't seen, and I could see something in you. So that partnership is great. It's kind of like I would equate it to Samuel and David, but it's something similar. Right?
Yes. And so that goes along with the community, our church. There's some things that like I see in members that like they have no idea. They're like, oh yeah, I am good at this. I do know how to connect with kids. Oh, I am knowledgeable about cooking and I could teach that to other people. And so I think in ministry, we have to acknowledge and affirm other people's gifts and graces because sometimes our critic side shades that, you know?
Yeah, and it is. And it also makes it quite scary because we don't really find those gifts and graces, those talents that we have until we do them, right?
Yeah.
So it's so easy to say, and I hear it all the time, I can't do that, I can't do that. Have you ever tried, right? My son would never try lima beans, right? I love lima beans, so we would have lima beans, but he would just say, I hate them, and I would say, have you tried them?
Yeah.
No. Well, he's already decided what his thought is, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we decide that I don't have a gift or a talent for that, and we never try. Mm-hmm. So it takes encouragement from other people for us to at least try it.
The excuse I hear all the time, I'm too old.
I'm too old, yes.
I can't know anything about this. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you are older, but that's okay. You could always learn new things. Yeah. And I hope we always are in this state of learning new things and realizing we have gifts and graces too, and that they always emerge and new things emerge.
And St. Paul reminds us, right, all the time that we need, for us to be an effective church, we need to use all the gifts that God's given us, right?
Yeah.
That's a resource that the church has to be open, to be about God's work in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And if that's a resource God has given us, who are we to keep it that?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So my parting wisdom is to continue to use your graces, continue to use your gifts. Erling can't keep this church together without you. And he doesn't have me to pick on him anymore. And so your job and your call is to continue to use your gifts and graces in the world. And I cannot wait until I see those things on Facebook and through your guys' pages and maybe even in the news, because I know you guys are doing wonderful work and will continue to do so.
And before we leave, just a reminder, you will have your opportunity to say goodbye to Jordan this Sunday night. We're having a gathering here at the church, a meal and games and a movie. And it's also going to be our opportunity to say goodbye to Jordan for sharing all of her gifts with us these past 2 years.
Yeah. Stick around for the movie though. The movie isn't just for young families with kids. It's for everyone. And I want you to come to the movie and you get to have Francis's famous popcorn.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss out. It'll be good.
So we'll see you soon.